Greetings, everybody. Today is a special day. It is one of 4 astronomically significant special days for the planet Earth. For today, the day and the night are equal. And this is what is known as an equinox. And the Earth studies, or the Earth-based faiths, the shamans, the Wiccans, the Druids, everything else that falls under that umbrella, calls this or many of them call this the festival of a Mabon. And so I wanted to do a little video today because it's an important astrological date. There's a lot of key significances here. And I think those can tie into the things going on in the world today and how we can use today to maybe resolve for some of those things internally. Now, as we all know, the world has gone berserk. I live in a feral country now where everyone wants to kill each other. Literally, every day I see calls for going to war. And it's heartbreaking because I am a builder. I do not advocate for destruction. Destruction is easy. But there is a part of me, a philosophical part of me, that says you cannot grow without destroying. In fact, key 16 of the tarot is the tower, which states exactly that the tower is being destroyed because you are seeing what's real and you have to destroy what you were to move on to what you could be. So destruction is not always a bad thing, but when you're a builder, you I don't know, it's hard watching your own country tear itself apart over what I consider an orchestrated set of emotional manipulation. That's what makes it extremely difficult. So with the equinox, and I have a picture here over my shoulder, that is kind of what I see in my mind's eye of the equinox. The sun is going down tonight. Will represent the last time that the day dominated the night on the wheel, what's called the wheel of life. The next time this will happen will be the vernal equinox or the spring equinox, when the night will lose its dominion over the day. But for now, they're evenly balanced. And I personally follow the gray path, is what I call it. I am the gray. Oedicus the Gray, the desert Viking, the gray, right? Whatever. And that's because I believe in trying to unify matter and the spirit. Levi called that the Arcanum, or said that was the mystery of the Arcanum, back in his seminal work, the Transcendental High Magic, back in the 1850s. And another image of that comes into play is the caduceus, where you have the rod with the 2 snakes that are wrapping around up the rod. And that represents light and dark, good and evil, whatever, unifying. Because in the end, we are both of those extremes. We have both of those extremes within us. And too much of one thing is never good, which for a lot of people does not make sense, because you go, well, we should all be good. And if you're all good, then everything is great. Except good and evil is, of course, subjective. And so being all good depends on your subjective morality based on what you see as good, which is kind of part of the reason why my country wants to kill itself right now. Tearing itself apart is because we have different moral subjectives of what good and evil is, to the point where the other side is now considered a Yahtzee, a fascist Yahtzee. And you were equating the other side with that fairly regularly. It's very disappointing. It's very heartbreaking to me. But anyhow, that image, we see the black and white pillars, which from the Freemasonic standpoint, we recognize those as the entrances to the temple, and we are the middle pillar. So the black pillar represents on the Kabbalistic tree of life, that's strength, and the white pillar is wisdom. They have different names, but strength and wisdom, and the middle pillar is beauty. And again, too much of one thing is bad. So we look at the black pillar as materialism, the white pillar as spiritualism. Too much materialism is bad. I think today we could say that the world, the West especially, is deeply rooted in the black pillar and very little, if any, of the white pillar. But being embedded in the white pillar with very little of the black pillar is also not good. And in Hermetic philosophy, we call that the law of polarity. And the law of polarity states that everything has two extremes, and we don't. We want to try to walk in that middle. It's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. So, the equinox is the time when the night, the black pillar, and the day, the white pillar, are balanced. So, for me, there's special significance as being the gray. This day and the vernal equinox represent the gray perfectly. And it's a time to reflect, and it's a time to look at where you're unbalanced at, and how you can maybe start redirecting your energies a little bit. Now again, this is coming from a Freemasonic standpoint. This is coming from a Rosicrucian standpoint. It's coming from a Knights Templar standpoint. We, if you are part of those orders, took obligations or vows to try to follow the tenets laid down by those institutions or by those chivalric orders. As such, we are supposed to be builders. We are supposed to be uplifting each other. We are supposed to be healers. We are not supposed to be destroying or going to war unless we absolutely have to. And make no mistake, if you push us to go to war, we will. But that should not be our aim. And right now that is a lot of people's aim. I see a lot of traffic, social media traffic from people I know to be Freemasons who are calling for the escalation against the other side, that it's like they're goading it almost on both sides. I see people I know to be Templars firmly cheerleading for escalation into more war or more killing, which that's not what we are. I see people I know to be Rosicrucians celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And that's not what a Rosicrucian is. I see Christians calling for the rise to arms to forcibly snuff out their enemies. And that, again, is not the message that Christ portrayed. Yes, he did come to the world and say he was here to carry the sword. But he also said to love your neighbor. We don't love our neighbors. We don't even love ourselves. We hate everything, it seems. And I think we need to take several steps back. Now, having said all that, I do believe that last week was the crossing of the ethical Rubicon, so to speak. For those of you who don't know what that means, the Rubicon was a river that when Julius Caesar crossed it, he knew there was no going back. There's no return once you cross the Rubicon. So when someone says something has crossed the Rubicon, it means there's no turning back. I don't believe there's a turning back point at this point. I don't think that's possible. I think there are too many people who are angry just at the system in general. Most people are miserable. And I believe this is orchestrated to be that way. People are miserable. Their faces are rubbed in the dirt. Jobs are evaporated and gone. We're giving our jobs away to other countries overseas or letting them come over here and just take them. So a lot of people are fed up. But it's so masterfully engineered to not blame. Don't blame the ones who actually make the decisions. Blame the politics. Blame the party. If you were just in my party, then none of this would be happening. Because my party does everything right, and the other party's all the evil. This is what I see and read daily. I'm sure you all can attest to this. And you might be political. You might be saying, damn right, my party's the right one and the other party's evil. And you'll give a bunch of reasons. And those reasons will be justified in your head. We've lost the ability to coexist with each other. Because if we could wave a wand today, if I could magically say, all of this party is now gone, or they're now on your side, they now believe like you do, in a very short period of time, we would be back to hating each other for other things that we're different about. I learned that in theology. I learned that in religion. That it wasn't enough to be Christian. You had to be the right kind of Christian. And as I'm a Gnostic, I'm never the right kind of Christian for a lot of people. So people are always looking for those differences. It's easiest to find the outward differences, skin color and religion and that kind of thing. But we look for anything that might differentiate other people from what we like. And if any of that ever exists, we consider those people to be others. And we are still a very conforming herd of animals. We're like deer. We congregate in packs or wolves. We don't like to be by ourselves. Very few of us do. And so we do whatever it takes to make sure that our tribe keeps accepting us. So we let them think for us. That's everywhere. That's both sides of the political party spectrum. That's people who, in churches, they do what they're told. And so, how do we overcome that? That's where I am. I don't know that you can. I don't know that we can. I do know that it's heartbreaking to see Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and Knights Templar participating in this, gleefully participating in this. And some of them have said, even to me, because I posted and I did that video last week, I had some nasty comments sent to me by people who, are my brothers. Because they won't tolerate the other side for reasons. And that's on both sides of the spectrum. We have a bunch of Reddit threads, a bunch of social media threads where all kinds of Freemasons are saying, I can't be in my lodge anymore because there are people of differing political opinion than me. And they have a lot of support in those threads where people are saying the same thing. I can't be in a lodge with conservatives because Freemasonry is not about being a Yahtzee, but these people embrace being a Yahtzee. And it's sickening, and it really hurts my heart. But what can we do? We can bring it out. We can shine a light on it. But that's not what the fraternities are about. It's not. You're supposed to rise above politics. That doesn't mean you can't be more inclined to a party or another party. I don't think that should be fine. I myself when I take those tests, I almost always split directly even down the line. The last time I took that test, it was 51 conservative, 49 liberal. So that was as down the middle. I was 1 point off to the right because I have a lot of things I believe in that are liberal policies, and I have a lot of things that I believe in that are conservative policies, and I have a lot of things that I believe in that are libertarian policies. So I will not shackle myself to a party, because to shackle yourself to a party goes back to what I said earlier, where you have to just pull the colored levers blindly and not think about it, the consequences, not think about the downsides, because to you, as long as everyone else is saying good and they're patting you on the head and you're popular, that's what drives most people. It's that status. Now they'll argue and say, no, it's their convictions, and maybe for some people that's true. I just don't buy it. I think people do what they do because they feel that it makes them popular. It's a status thing. And it's difficult to try to be in the middle when you're everyone's enemy. So the liberals will call me a Yahtzee and a fascist, and the conservatives call me a communist and a fence sitter, all that other stuff. And it's not that I have chosen a side. It's neither of those sides. And I want to be above politics. And I can be, and I am. Meaning that I don't let it drive my life. Because both sides of the coin, to me, do the same thing. They just do it in different ways. But we get to the same place. And the same place is we've been plundered by the elites. Everyone on both sides is miserable for the same reason. It's just that we have a different boogeyman to point to. And so I look at those pillars on the screen, and political parties can easily be affixed to those. Each side has good things about them. We should be loving our neighbor. We should be uplifting our neighbor. We shouldn't be throwing people away like garbage. We do it. I live in a city where the homeless population is out of control. And then we go, well, that's their fault. And yes, we do make choices that can lead to those certain outcomes. Yes, you do have to have accountability. Yes. But at the same time, we throw those people away like garbage. And they're not garbage. Those are all shards of God the way we are. But we're so fixated on status that we lost the script somewhere along the line. We want to climb over each other, for power at any cost to a lot of people. So we lost that. But on the other end, as I just talked about accountability, we lost accountability. We lost accountability. We lost paying for our bad decisions in many different ways. We don't want to have to pay accountability. And when we have to pay accountability, we go to victimhood. You're a victim. And so you're paralyzed with these two things. There's a balance between the two. And the environment, let's be fair, we as a human race got where we are through cooperation. And that involves everyone having a role. It's like a body, right? It's like a human body. We have, like my pinky finger, to me, seems to have a very minimal role. But if I chopped it off, I would notice it's gone. And I would miss my pinky finger. Not everyone is going to be a superstar. On a football team, same thing. I played football for a number of years. I loved that sport. The offensive and defensive linemen often go unnoticed, but they are the root of the entire team. But everyone pays attention to the superstar positions, the quarterbacks and the linebackers and the receivers catching the touchdowns, etc. But not everyone can be that. And if you remove your line, the quarterback's getting drilled and the receiver's not catching anything. So the human race is like that. We are a beehive, right? We're good at certain things and not so good at other things. And when we come together, We are supposed to lend what we're good at, and our brothers and sisters lend what they're good at that covers up what we're weak at. And by doing that, we become powerful. And I believe that it's intentional to keep us separated for that very reason. Now, whether that's orchestrated by a big bad Ahriman, or if it just is just people are smart and cunning and they know to keep people separate. I mean, look at Rome. You just got to keep the people entertained with bread and circuses, right? Keep them entertained, and they're fine. So it's been going on for thousands of years. Like, we know how to manipulate people if we're in power. But not everyone in modern life was meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone is meant to be a doctor. But we treat our laborers like garbage. And today, even if you do a search for living wage jobs, you will find very few. And the expectation is that people should just work their whole lives making just enough to survive, and that that's somehow acceptable, which is garbage. We have accepted modern day, basically slavery, and put the spin on it that it's good character to serve the elites for and barely be able to survive. And if I even complain about that, that's because I'm lazy. That's how masterful this is. So it is a little bit of non-accountability. It is a little bit of environment being set up the way it is. It's just a whole thing. And they've figured out a way to make us hate each other, even though they both do the same things. Ultimately, where we lead to is they make a whole bunch of money, and we suffer, and no one says anything. But they point the fingers at, well, no, it's their fault because they don't like DEI. It's their fault because, they like blue hair and they want UBI or whatever. The different things. And so we hate them, and now we're killing each other. And it's so much foolishness at a level that I can't even comprehend right now. So the whole point of talking about all that is to get back to basics for you. For the very few of you who pay attention to this channel and actually are taking these things to heart and thinking about them, look where your imbalance is and try to swing back to the middle. Today is a perfect day for that. It's the equinox. So today is a new beginning. We're heading into the autumn. For me, it was a very creative time. It's where I usually write most of my books. In fact, I've already started, again, getting back to some projects that I had started last year. Coincidentally, it's now, close to the autumn, or it is autumn now. And, musically, everything. This is when I create. This is a time of water. Water is the element of intuition, of healing, and of emotions. So this is a good time to focus on those things. If you're into alchemy, there's a whole array of tinctures and elixirs that are good in the autumn. You can look those up. For those of you who've been wanting to follow Alchemy, My Alchemy, I've started that. I've been posting some things on here as posts. I also have created a Substack now. I've been influenced greatly by a couple of the other guys in my order who are doing the same thing. So I do post in our Discord, but I'm going to have that Substack, and I'll link that Substack below. So if you want to follow along, I can foresee what's going to happen is I'll post a blog thing, and then I'll come up here and do a video related to that. So the two articles may tie in, or the two things may tie in. Over the weekend, we formed a new Druid order, or circle, a grove, whatever you want to call it. I started off as a Druid when I was 15 years old. And since then, I did that for a couple years, and then I left home, and I've been basically buried in theurgy since then. My head's been in theurgy, which is ceremonial. It's higher, macrocosm. And it dawned on me. So we look at the pillars in that image above my shoulder there, and we want to stay in the middle. We say, right, and that's the horizontal middle. But if you think of a Templar cross is an equal armed cross. And you notice that there's not just a horizontal beam there, but there's also a vertical beam there. And I started thinking about this a couple years ago, and earlier this year I had brought it up that I wanted to get back into earth studies. I want that vertical beam as well, because finding your middle is not just finding the horizontal middle like you see in that image. As above, so below. There is a below. And in this case, it's the macrocosm and the microcosm. And you have to ground your feet in the material. And that's what earth studies are about. So we've kicked off a druid circle. And hopefully that will bear some fruit, because that is to focus on the elements themselves and work with nature. And in working in alchemy, it suggests that you be able to grow your own plants for plant alchemy. All of these things that I have not really done before, I am now looking into doing. I'm trying to expand myself and grow. And so this opportunity to return to my druidic roots is something I'm very excited for. And what we are doing is a program called the Dolmen Arch, which was something created by, or maybe not created by, but put out there by John Michael Greer. And there's a whole system of 7 different degrees with it. And one of our guys is going to lead that. And it's just an amazing opportunity. So, as we do that, I might post some things. I'll probably post a lot more in the Substack on it, but that's what's been going on for me. So the alchemy and that have been really cool. So we spent the Saturday over the weekend at the Arboretum, it's a mixture of a forest basically, and then open desert. So we did both of that. That was neat. Saw some lizards, some spiders. There's rattlesnakes in the area. All the great things that the desert has. But do some things like that. I don't know. Look into things to start building yourself into these other areas. Because it's not just words that will elevate us. I can talk all day. It's actually doing it. It's doing the work and putting the work in. To be a builder. To be a builder is to build, is to actually go out and create things. That might be works of art. That might be music. That may be texts. That may be going out and doing charity work for your community. There's a lot of things that it falls under. Do the work. That's what's important. So keep that in mind. The equinox, to tie back and to conclude, is a time of the night and the day are equal, and that's that position. That's the middle pillar. When the night and the day, or the black and the white, are equal, you are walking down in the middle pillar. You're away from the extremes, whereas the solstices are the extremes. And when you're practicing or you're studying spirituality, no matter what religion you are, all roads lead up the same mountain as far as I'm concerned. As above, so below. If you're doing theurgy work, make sure that you're paying attention to your earth studies. And conversely, if you're doing earth studies, look into some theurgy as well. That's just a recommendation. Some people aren't really into that kind of thing. And so if it doesn't vibe with you, don't do it. But for those of you who may be, check it out. If you have any questions, drop me a line. I'm happy to discuss any of that. Otherwise, what do you think about being a builder? Are you a builder, or do you want to destroy? Those are important questions. Going forward, I feel we'll all be tasked with that several times, many times. And the result of where we go as a people will depend a lot on that answer that you give, at least for you and your family and your immediate circle of people. So I look forward to hearing some responses. And until next time, again, I will link the Substacks below. I link to mine, and I will link to Brother David's, who is going to be running the Dolman Arch. So if you want to follow along with those things, I highly encourage it and look forward to hearing what you have to say. Till then, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.